Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. It is high five time. It's been a couple of weeks. Hello, Claire. Hello, Scott. How are you both doing today?
Hi. Good, thank you. It's Friday, my favorite day of the week, so all good.
Brilliant. And we should say, for disclaimer purposes, it is actually a Friday again that we are recording this. So sometimes with people's schedules, we've sometimes recorded on a Monday or a Tuesday that become a Friday. But it is Friday and the sun is shining, and it looks like it's shining where you are, Claire. Scott, what's it like in the Outer Hebrides of west of Scotland?
It's best described as dreich. It's probably the best word I could use. Yeah. Although there's an upside to it being dreich. I'm going to say the most middle class thing that's ever come out of my mouth. My kale is looking fabulous in my garden because of the amount of rain it's had this week. There you go.
Okay, Claire, if you want to leave at this point, I will fully understand.
No, it's okay. I also have kale.
Oh yeah, kale.
It's also doing really well this year. So
what else? What else are you growing?
We're growing tomatoes again. We've got kale and beetroots.
Oh, I've got beetroot. My beetroot's flourishing. I don't know whether to trim the leaves off so you get a better.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
At any point.
I was going to say, I feel like I should say I grow avocado now.
Don't they take a year to grow? Or oh no, so they take years to grow, don't they? Avocados, I think, as well. Like they're a bit of a work of art, apparently, the avocado. That's a good thing to grow. But I don't think I would attempt it. I don't think I would attempt it.
No, I'm good. Thank you. To answer your question fully, Rory, I'm good. And the weather is a bit dreich, but I am not.
Good. Well, thank you both for joining us again on our high five. Actually been a couple of weeks since we recorded one, Scott, so it's good to get back together again. And Claire, thank you so much for joining us and agreeing to have a chat. So I know that you and Scott had a chat a couple of days ago. So Scott, do you want to quickly update us on Claire?
No problem at all. Well, we had a lovely nomination a few weeks ago from Sally, from Sally Bryce, which was just fabulous. We absolutely loved chatting to Sally. It was fab, and I think I've had more conversations with Sally in the last 2 weeks online than I've had in the last 5 years as well. So that's been a lovely experience too, actually, to pick up with her again and get more involved in what she's doing as well. But when we got to the end of the conversation and she nominated you and she said who you were, that you were a good friend and why she really appreciated that friendship as well. I discovered you were near Trentham Gardens, which I know really well. I know the monkey forest really well.
Well, that's literally just up the road from me.
Yeah. Well, I took the kids there once. I was working down in Stoke and I said, right, we're going to stay in this hotel just so we can go to the monkey forest. It was the most bizarre but brilliant place. So I discovered you were nearby that. But yeah. Claire, you were given this card by Sally, this little super powered card that's here, which is just first class. And I just wanted to refresh your memory a little bit about some of the lovely things that she's doing about you. They were just beautiful. Well, this card for Rory now has always been about people discovering a little bit of that innate brilliance that we all have. If I can quote Helen Amory, actually, she said that word to us a few weeks ago as well, but about mindset and about the choices that people make with the situations that they have in their lives as well. And she mentioned about yourself firstly as a friend, that you had such a beaming smile and a positive outlook on things, and you were an absolutely lovely person, a lovely human being to be around. And she said also that she doesn't always see that you notice how that outlook that you have inspires other people, and that it truly does for her, and that you're one of the most powerful people she's ever met in her life because of that power and how it stretches out to others and the things that you do. And she mentioned as well during that conversation that you'd had an MS diagnosis a few years back, and how you had managed that was truly inspirational with your lens through mindset and your diet and alternative therapies, but you use it as a gift to actually help and inspire others. So a superpower card is literally flying through the air at the moment and soaring its way towards you, because I just think that was some beautiful words that she used to describe you as well. So how did that land with you? Sorry, Ronnie.
I'm just going to say, we didn't even know at that point you grew kale as well.
No.
So
no, had we known that, we'd have a kale chat for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. It was such a lovely thing to hear, and I think that's one of Sally's superpowers. Actually, is she's really good at giving feedback and making people realize what their strengths are. And I think, but just listening to it was quite overwhelming for me, and I did feel a bit emotional about it, because it's not really something that I'm much more comfortable, I think, telling other people what their strengths are than listening to what other people think, or thinking about what my strengths are. I don't know why, but it was a bit overwhelming, and but extremely flattering coming from someone like Sal, who obviously I totally look up to as well. And so it was really lovely to hear, albeit a little bit uncomfortable as well. Like, oh, am I going to live up to this? Really appreciative of it. But my next thought was, gosh, what next then? And I think initially I was thinking, well, do I need some sort of fancy dress outfit for this kind of thing? Is it?
You can see from us, yeah.
There we go. Frog King's here.
Brilliant.
And you thought you were coming on to a serious chat.
Yeah, that's making me feel less nervous.
I've brought my crown now. Oh no. Would it help you if I put the crown on?
It would actually.
Right, I'll take the frowsy bit off and I'll just put the crown on, then it makes you feel.
Yeah, that's good. I'm liking that. It's a really lovely thing to be involved in anyway. So I'm glad to be here, albeit a lot nervous.
Don't be nervous at all. We always say the same thing on the high five, Claire, is that it's really just a conversation. So we've always intentionally just tried to make this a hangout with cool people. So Scott and I get to have incredible conversations with people that we either have some previous connection to or we're introduced to. And I think you'll agree, Scott, that the conversations have always just grown organically in the chat by letting people just be themselves.
Yeah.
So if you need to have props or costumes or cups of tea, it's just an Irishman, a Scotsman, and our guest every week. And we've just been really loving this space for these conversations that develop out of it. So we want you to just feel as relaxed as possible.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Great.
I wanted to ask you a few things about within that conversation that they've had with Sally and the things that you've mentioned there for yourself. I was really interested in how that mindset becomes that mindset and the journey that you've been through as well, and the decisions you've made, and have there been choices within that? Would you kind of fill in the blanks of that a wee bit for me in terms of how you've came to the approach that you take? Because we've all got our own experiences of health and wealth and how we deal with that when circumstances come our way. But what's been yours?
Okay. I think I'm quite lucky in many ways in that I've always been, even as a child, been quite a positive person who gravitates towards things that are fun or kind of looks on the brighter side of life. I've always had that within me, I think. So I'm lucky in some ways. But I think when I was faced with huge challenges associated with my health, it can take you to some very dark places. And even though I've always thought of myself as a positive person, it's been a real challenge in terms of how to get your head around something that's so life-changing. And I think, what are my choices within that? I have a background in HR, and I do like the learning and development side of things. So I've always been a people person, but I think it's kind of, I guess, from in the most difficult of times, I suppose it's I think what Sally was saying, it's the mindset that actually you could still learn and grow from that.
Yeah.
And being quite a positive person, there's always a challenge for me to sort of, well, in the past, I've kind of tried to brush it off and say, well, this is happening, but I can always see a positive in it. And as I've got older, I've seen the benefit more in actually staying with that darkness sometimes, and staying with those difficult times, and allowing myself to feel that and explore that without, and then looking at how I move forward. So I think that's one thing that's changed with me over the years from when I was younger, is that I was always positive. That was kind of my thing. But then now I'm older, it's actually, we need those difficult times to actually appreciate the better times. And that's okay. You don't have to be positive all the time, but not to stay in that dark place for so long that you can't really get out is my thing, I think. Yeah, does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it does for me in terms of how, if I think of any experiences of being restful to an extent, the darkness of things that is telling you something and there's an education in it, but it's then how you talk to it and how you navigate through it that's how I experience those same things as well, as wherever I'm at and whatever I'm feeling is not try to just, well, if I flip the page and change to something different, I'll feel better. It's present in your head for a reason.
Yeah.
To see how to then communicate better with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's being able to listen to yourself, but also giving yourself time to listen to what your body's saying. That's one thing that, again, I think I've learned more recently, is that when we were in the pandemic, I would do some online like mindfulness or meditation classes, right. And we'd have like, how are you feeling today? How are you doing today? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm great, actually, thinking on the surface, I'm actually coping really well with this. And then they'll say, well, let's just kind of close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. And I just want you to notice what's happening in your body. And actually just giving myself that pause. I'll never forget. I had like had palpitations, right. Whereas a few minutes before I was saying, actually I'm fine, I'm more than fine, but actually my body was telling me something different. So there's something about connecting to that as well. It's sort of understanding the voice inside your head, but also what your body's trying to tell you as well, and what you can learn from that. Yeah. But yeah, I was sort of bowled over by that. I remember thinking, oh, I think I'm fairly well in tune with how I am, but actually just pausing, it can give you a bit of a different perspective on what's happening.
Something very British and Celtic and traditional about that, isn't there? Where we automatically default back to, I'm fine, I'm doing great, and telling everybody you're doing that. And I can relate with some of what you're saying, Claire, because a few years ago, my mum had a very bad autoimmune condition that ended up having to cause her to have a transplant. And she's recovering now. She lived in some of that same space, and my partner also had an autoimmune condition which she lives with on a day-to-day basis as well. And I recognize a lot of those conversations where I'm absolutely fine, but that actually they're not, and they just need to be present in that space. Yeah. And actually, as you're saying, listen to their body and what it's telling them. And it's incredible to see the journey my mum in particular has come on, because she'll kill me for saying this, even though we're recording. She's writing a book about her experience, which I'm absolutely delighted about, because she's realized that there was a learn in that journey that she has gone on, and that she needs to be able to share that with other people. And I think that, going back to that point about our innate brilliance is sometimes hidden under the surface, because we tell people, yeah, I'm fine, let's just get on with it, but it doesn't take much for us to really just know ourselves, and as you say, listen to your body and realize that it's okay to take a break, and it's okay to take a rest. And actually, people will have so much empathy for that when you share it with them.
Yeah, Yeah, it reminds me of that quote. I think it's a quote from Charles Mackesy, that, you know, the boy, the mole, the fox and the horse.
Oh yes, yeah.
That book, and it's something, and it always reminds me of quite a lot of many health conditions, really, that you can't see. It's a quote that, you know, it's odd, isn't it, that we can only see what's going on the outside, but so much happens on the inside. In fact, pretty much everything that's important to us happens on the inside. But with autoimmune and different health conditions that are not visible, you know, it just takes a little while, doesn't it, to understand what's really going on with somebody. And yeah, so I always think about that there is so much that goes on here and inside here that we just can't see.
Yeah. But what I love is what you're saying is you continue to learn, you continue to look for areas that you were learning and developing yourself as well. So that's I think that's where that superpowered strength is naturally coming out. You're probably not even seeing yourself, but and the brilliance that you're having with others, like Sally. So I think that's very clearly showing itself.
Oh, thank you.
It's a clear signal, maybe, not a bat signal above the houses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of signal.
What would a clear signal be? What would that be?
Oh, well, I remember when I did a course in counselling, and we had to represent ourselves by drawing a picture of ourselves, right. And different things within the picture represented the different parts of our lives, and then we had to talk it through. Well, I'm really not good at drawing, and I just thought, well, I don't even know where to begin with this, but I just ended up drawing a bunny with pom-poms. Like and I just put cheerleading bunny. That's what I put. And then somebody who I was partnered up with, who was really lovely, but someone I didn't know very well, was just like, what is this? What exactly does this mean? And I was like, I don't know, it just came to my mind that I'm a cheerleading bunny, but I'm you know, the kind of excitement that a bunny has, but also like I like to be cheerleading people on, because I think it's just been that's been the thing that's made the most difference in my life. That the biggest difference in my life has been people that have cheered me on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just reminded me of that. It was a terrible drawing, but it did make a laugh, which
well, it leads into the question I was going to ask, actually. It's kind of connected to cheerleading bunnies in a sense, because Sally talked about your superpower as being how your outlook inspires other people. That's how she described your superpower, and I so connect with the things that we can do, that we've got choices in, to try and help and inspire others. I'm going to a little meeting this afternoon after we finish this recording, actually, and I've got something sat next to me here that I'm using for it. But this is just a little example of a gentleman I'm working with. Is called Leitham Green. So I got some t-shirts made up for him called the Leitham Green Fan Club. Now, I have got the potential that I can do that. I had an idea in my head that went cheerleading bunny, make it into a t-shirt, get it printed out and wear it. Now, Leitham's already seen that because he was on a workshop with me the other week and he was present and I wore it at the session. But how do you have things that you do, or is there means by which you think that you inspire others, by your actions or by your activity or by your conversations?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think what I used to think I was my superpower was trying to solve people's problems. But over the last few years, I think I've learned that only they can solve their problems, and the best thing that I could do for them is listen to them, make them feel comfortable, and cheerlead them in whichever way they want to go and what feels right for them. So I think I'm quite a friendly person. I very rarely meet somebody who I don't get on with. And I just enjoy connecting with people, but I suppose over the last few years, I've realized that the best way to cheerlead people on is to develop my listening skills and kind of allow them, give them the respect to trust that they have it within them to go down the path that they're meant to go, and just to kind of guide them a little bit, but without my own agenda. Yeah. Which I think when I worked in HR, there was I enjoyed solving people problems. I enjoyed, give me a problem and I'll give you a solution. But as I'm getting older now, I've realized that there is something probably there is something more important than just solving people's problems, is that helping them to solve the problems themselves and giving them that space.
Do you think your solutions then now are more unbiased and they're more focused on helping people find their potential rather than scoping it down to the direction of travel that they're on? Does that change for you?
Yeah, I think with the counselling course, there was a huge amount of self-development and self-awareness. Yeah. And I think I'm more aware now of advising people based on what I think is the right thing for them. And actually, that's not always the right thing for them. That's me projecting my stuff onto them and going, actually, I know best, so just listen to this. And now it's more about really trying to listen and empathize with where they are and what they're saying and what that means for them. And, giving them the space to explore that themselves. So, but saying that, I'm talking as if I do this all the time, but I largely just use this in my voluntary role at the moment. Yeah. So I volunteer for the MS Society at the moment, and I answer the local support helpline. So people can call for a variety of reasons, and sometimes I am just signposting, different information. But sometimes people just want to chat and just want to connect. So that's kind of where I use those things more now than in the past. So
yeah, it's fab though, on a voluntary basis. I think it's even more critical that people hear your voice. And we chatted 2 weeks ago, Claire, we were having a little pre-conversation just to talk about Cognitize, because some random person posted your name on LinkedIn and says, I'm going to call you in 2 weeks. So I thought I'd better explain myself a wee bit further. But our conversation that we had, I'm certain that it rested with me, or it was present with me that evening, because something happened to me that evening. I was on Facebook and I was scrolling through Facebook that evening, and I saw a lady that I used to do a wee bit of work for about 5 or 6 years ago, and we connected on Facebook. I wouldn't say we were friends, we were just associates and had kept in touch just off and on, as you do in Facebook, comment on people's posts and liking whatever things they put up and things. And I just noticed on our post that she had put on a comment that she'd just been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in her post, and it made me stop, but it made me think, what can I do in that situation? What can I do to help it? And as somebody who's experienced that in my life myself, I thought there is something I can do here. So rather than sending a public comment, I sent her a private message and said to her, any experiences I've had, I've been more than willing to help share with her if it's of any insight and any use to her. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have put a little comment or liked it, but I pushed it further and I went further and asked more and I intrigued more. And I sent to and from messages over the next 48 hours with her, just about a couple of questions that she'd asked around things. And I don't think I would have done that without our conversation the week before.
Oh, really?
So if the superpower of what you've said is it's carrying a shadow because of the light in which it's shedding on other things, and also the mode of doing that is not being forceful with it, but actually just saying, here's advice here if you want it. rather than you must do, because everyone's experiences is differently. It definitely rested with me that evening. Definitely, I'm certain of it. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely to hear.
Isn't it just the value of those deeper conversations when we have them, though? You know, as you say, Scott, probably you could have gone and just put a public comment on, a generic comment to say wishing you well and good health. But going back to Claire's point as well, is it's that level of trust that you start to build with someone, that actually you maybe not always giving them the right answers they need. You're just giving them that space to be, and you're giving them that level of just engagement where implicitly trust builds. And I think having someone actually take the time to invest in a conversation with you is so much more valuable than just that throwaway social media lifestyle that we've all become adapt to. So well done you on doing that as well.
Rory, kale. Oh no, she's not.
No,
we'll just talk kale for a wee second. Rory could change his name to Rory Cayley. Hey, she's back. That's all right.
You just made an absolute pun of a kale joke, so that's what I was laughing at.
I was just I was just saying to Rory there that we could change his name to Rory Cayley.
Oh dear.
Did I just freeze up then?
You froze and then
did, and it was just at that moment that I hit my full crescendo of the one important thing I contribute each week to High Five.
Oh no!
Rory, there's going to be a movie that's connected to this. Come on.
No, not this week. No, I was just saying that I'm tipping my hat to you both for those conversations that you have with people where you build trust, and I can clearly hear, Claire, that your superpower is that connection that you build with people, and I think it has obviously resonated with Scott for the conversation that he went on to have with his friend about the diabetes. So I think there's so much more value in those conversations when we have them, whether it is on online chat forums or whether it's on the telephone, or actually hopefully very soon in the face-to-face capacity that we're all continuing to move towards, where I think people just need that coffee shop space of let's meet for a cup of coffee and have a chat and see how you're doing, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So on High Five every week, the other thing that we do is, aside from talking about superpowers and what's been nominated to you, is we flip it back to the person who's been invited as well, to invite them to choose a card and a person that they could nominate that we could have a further conversation with as well. Do you have a chance to look through the cards that I sent you across, and did you manage to come across one that you thought would work and for someone it would work with? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I did. Well, actually, at first I found it quite difficult because this is one of my close friends who I've worked with in the past as well. So I was just looking through a lot of them, thinking, oh, there could be that. I remember when we used to do dance routines in the office. I mean, that's a brilliant one. Oh, the 80s one, you know, that's amazing. We'd love that. We'd love the 80s, send the 80s message and the emoji one. And there was loads where I was thinking what to choose really. But I think in the end, I've kind of gone for, so I'd like to say, yeah, I want to nominate my friend Gemma Trainer.
Okay. Gemma, fabulous.
Gemma's in the book.
Yeah. And the card that I've picked is the Gift of Greatness.
Oh, nice.
And it's about the three reasons why why you believe somebody is gifted and why they're great. And I thought this was good. That's the one.
Very one there.
Yeah, because then I thought it gives me a little bit of flexibility then to, because I'm not a black and white person, I'm always a grey person. So, you know, I can't just pick one. I try and, you know, merge a few into one. But yeah, so there was different themes, I think, that apply to Gemma for me. And again, I think she's not one of those. She's definitely not one of those people that fully realize her greatness.
Right.
and I'm always telling her this. So yeah, the gift of greatness, the three things that I think I try and the most important things I think about when I think about what Gemma's like is she's just a very uplifting person to be around. She's really fun. She's a great friend. She's very kind and positive. In fact, I'm just going to end up saying loads about her now, aren't I? Trying to fit it all into 3 and I can't. But
long sentences with commas. Let's just expand it.
Yeah. We could be here a while. One of the cards I was going to pick for her was the helping hand card, because I also feel like Gemma's been through some real challenges in her life, and her little girl, who's very similar age to my youngest daughter, she was born with a condition called PKU, which I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's something that most babies get tested for at birth, and it's they find it difficult to digest protein. Right. So if they're not on it, they're on a special diet to enable them to flourish. And I've seen how Gemma's managed that over the years, and she now has an Instagram page called PKU Mama, which is doing really well. So she's used her own experience of I think for anyone that's got children, the challenges of feeding them sometimes, if you've got different, children can be so fussy, can't they? And weaning and all the things that you go through when they're really young. But with Gemma, she had this added complexity that she's just embraced. So she now uses the Instagram page to connect with other people, and they share all sorts of recipes and amazing ideas to keep the kids engaged with food and make sure that it's still safe for them and it's manageable. So it's the helping hand thing. And the other thing was that I think is another gift of Gemma's is her ability to connect with people. So I've known her in a professional capacity and in a personal capacity, and she has the ability to connect with anyone really. She finds that commonality, and she just has that amazing gift of bringing out the best in people. So that's there's all sorts of things within that, isn't there? But yeah, the gift of greatness is what I landed with in the end. And
sounds great. Gemma, this is your card. I'll hold it up to camera. I'll send you a little digital copy so you can see it anyway. My lights.
It's going to be another great conversation.
It is. Just before I give you a high five to finish off, as you've been sharing there about Gemma's story and about your own as well, I have to say that the most the area of cognitize that I'm most appreciative of since we started this journey some 19 months ago is that even though we've been on lockdowns and unlocking for the last year and a half, I feel as if I've traveled so far actually by the stories and conversations that we've had with people and the people we've met in that journey. Simply wouldn't have happened if Rory and I weren't sitting in a caravan drinking bottles of beer and saying, what about this? And writing down all the words and saying, but it'd be nice because what it would do is it would help people to light each other up and to share their stories. And that was the whole energy of everything that I've tried to do on it, is to try and lift others and to try and help other people to lift others. So I'm just so delighted you've shared your story with us, and I'm really looking forward to chatting to Gemma as well. It's going to be fabulous.
I'm just delighted that sitting in a caravan drinking beer was worth it in the end. We said it would be worth it. Now we can prove it.
Let's buy another case of that. Another one of that. Yeah, that'll help. We need two. We need two of a bottle of whiskey. That's going to help.
Do you want some kale crisps? No.
And I'm going to invite, before we come on today, you were talking about you're talking about games as well, so we'll get a wee gift down to you.
There was a couple of things you said in there, Claire, that office dancing, and I was like, I've got exactly the game for office dancers. So we will have a very secret gift on its way to you that will enhance laughter, put it that way. So if you thought Beat That was good, there's more coming.
And I can promise you one other thing. I'm going to find a cheerleading bunny.
Wow,
right,
amazing.
I'm going to go on a hunt. That's the rest of my afternoon. My diary's clear after this one, and then I'm just going to sit all afternoon googling cheerleading bunny. I'm really going to do a Google image search because I really don't know what's to come up when I do that, but I will do a shopping hunt.
It'll be really impressive if we have it in the Stoke skyline somewhere. So
imagine above the monkey
If you
forest.
could, that'd be amazing.
What do we know? Like a cheerleading bunny above the sky. How much sun do we know? Right, that's a better one. Rory actually just raised the level again. Claire, Rory, high five. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. It was amazing, Claire. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.